What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the vlog. I had to check my mic. Welcome back to the vlog. And here's hoping that we've all had a successful hump day heading into the weekend. I thought I would drop this video because your reactions were so overwhelmingly positive about with story time. So I decided, you know what, let me give you guys two more stories because they're both kind of short. So I'm like, you know what, let's give them a two for one, but also remind you that there are still seats available for this upcoming webinar. It's going to be on Tuesday at 7, and we're going to go into the Hoodoo art of controlling others. Okay, with traditional workings, a lot of them very simple, but we're also, like always, going into some of the subtle nuances that the books or the folks who ain't from down here don't know about. Okay. Just $10, Cash App or Venmo to the link down below. Hopefully it's going to be right there where I'm pointing. And make sure in the memo section of whichever pay method you use, Cash App or Venmo, that you put your email address. And those of you who did send your payments today, as soon as I'm done with this video getting it uploaded, I'm going to send you guys your links. Okay. So anyway, without further ado, oh, I do want to also thank Ian and Letitia for your donations. And also those of you who donate to Mr. J's family, I'm compiling the list. Oh, and Southern Girl, thank you too. I am compiling a list so that you guys can also be thanked. But just understand we are very appreciative, the family and I. So, without further ado, let's get into the first story. And this is the story on how I started doing divination without cards or anything. Those of you who have gotten consultations, aka readings from me, isn't it funny? I started the whole consultation thing. Now everybody calls it that. Just go back. Everyone was calling it a reading. I call it a consultation because look here. Just anyway, I digress. Those of you who've gotten them from me know it's a combination of cards and just whatever spirit is telling me. Some people may call it mediumship or whatever. Just that I will talk, you will talk. We're having a consultation, we're having a conversation. And when spirit has something to interject, I will cut you off because you guys have had it happen. I'm like, hey, oh, hold on. I got to tell you this. And then we resume afterwards. But it was not always that way for me. In the beginning, much like you guys, I was very tool oriented with my readings. I use playing cards, old school playing cards, and that's how I did my readings. And it was this meant this when it was in this position, it means that, and we just keep pulling, and that's how it went. But it wasn't a progression. It happened overnight, and I'll tell you how. So you guys know I'm from Southwest Atlanta and born and raised, even though I would come to the country a lot in the summer times and visit family. And I'm I've just known up there. And inside of Atlanta, there is an Ifa community. Now, some folks just says Yoruba. I call the Atlanta Orisha community. And there are a bunch of different Ilays there, which is a spiritual house of the Orisha community. And there are a couple of like really big ones. I call them the mega churches of Ifa. One in particular was run by this very, very nice lady. I'm not going to say any names in this. Very, very nice lady. And she had like a million god kids. But for some reason, whenever there was some work to be done, um, no god kids to be found. She initiated a bunch of priests and priestesses in the religion, but she could never get any of them to work. So one day I'm just at home chilling, got a cold one cracked open, watching a little TV. Okay, my phone rings. Pick it up, and she's like, "Baba, I need you." I don't know why she called me Baba. Maybe somebody from the Arish community can tell me. And I was like, "What's up, ma'am?" Trying not to say any names. And she was like, "I'm initiating some folks to a batala, and they got to have their readings done before they go into the room." Now, I don't know anything about the initiation process for any of the Orisha practices. All I know is they go into a room. That's all I know. So I'm like, Ia, and that's not her name. That was her title. Or that's what everybody called her. I'm like, Ia, you know I'm not one of y'all, right? I, I don't know what y'all do. I just know what I do. She was like, Baba, don't worry about it. Just if you can help me out, I greatly appreciate it. She didn't mention nothing about no money, right? But anyway, anything I can do to help out. So I said, all right, hey, you like it, I love it. So I go, I get my stuff together, get my trick bag, get my stuff together, pull up, some brothers standing outside, kind of knew them or knew of them, but didn't know them in particular. No, I mean, I didn't know them. So I greeted them or whatever, and head on in. I'm looking for her. It's a house full of folks, everybody dressed in white. I'm the only one dressed in black because that was like my thing at the time. Still, in a way, is right. And nobody's acknowledging me. They just looking, and people are walking up, and she's like, "Okay." Yeah, she comes up. She gets me. She's like, "Back this way." And so she takes me to a couple of folks, and I greet them, shake the hand. They looking. Okay. She takes me to this lady. Now, the lady I did know of from someone else, and they had warned me about her. They said that she was um a female canine. I, you know, uh, whatever, right? Now she walked, I was in front of her and she's looking at me all scowling, and I'm like, "What's up?" And left. Like, hey, I gotta go handle some business. I'm like, maybe they were right about her. Anyway, let me get to the point of why I mentioned this later. The Ia heads me into this room, and she's like, "You can set up right here." Now, I take out my cards, and I brought some graveyard dirt and a few bones. I'm like, "All right, we're gonna go in." So she says, "All right, I'm gonna bring the initiates to be in one by one." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So she starts bringing them in, and I'm knocking out readings, right? One by one, knocking out readings. They're like, "Okay, thank you so much, Baba. Thank you so much." Then they leave. Then she brings in a child. I'm talking about a itty bitty. Like this kid could was like 7, but she brings in the mom, and the mom was, yes, the lady with. Now she was a very very beautiful woman, just real like RBF, right? And so I'm like, okay, so all right, you're the mom. Great. I'm glad you're here because I would not have felt comfortable otherwise. Let's get this reading going. And so she's like, you're reading with those. You're not reading with Ifa. And I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, Ia done set me up for failure because I don't know what y'all do. She's like, that is not, and she's like kind of making a huffy puffy stink. And at this point, I'm getting ticked off. And if you do readings, if you're not in the right, if your brain meats are not right, right, it's hard to like get in a groove. So I tell you, I say, I tell you what, I gather the cards up, slam them down. I regret doing that because the little kid jumped, and I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. And I said, how about this? And so I looked at her, and it's at that point something, I don't know whether something inside of me broke or something inside of me clicked into place. But I'm staring at her, and it's like my mouth goes on autopilot. And I start telling her about her childhood. I start telling her about her marriage. And I'm not like fussing at her. I'm doing a reading. And I'm telling her about her marriage. I'm telling her about her fears. And I'm telling her about um, you know, how she cries to herself when no one is around. And this I mean this it was really fast. It maybe like 2, 3 minutes, but she was quiet. And then I looked down at a little bit, and I'm like, and you are going to be awesome in religion because da 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 da. And mom is still just shocked. and then they get up and then they leave, right? And then I finished the readings, but I never picked up the cards again, never touched them again. And I'm telling people this, and I'm telling people that, and then I'm like, you know what? The ones that I did ahead of time, bring them back in. Bring them back in. Let's run that back. And Ia brings them back in, and I'm knocking more out, knocking more out, knocking more out. When I was done, I was spent. I was tired. But then Ia said, "Baba, you got room for one more?" And I said, "Yeah." It was the mom, and she explained. She said, everyone in this Elay in this community, they think I'm so mean, and I'm not. I grew up in another country, and da da da. And then these women here are always after my husband because of his status, and so I keep myself guarded. And you picked up on that. And she's like, Will you give me a reading? Just me and you right now." I said, "Oh, you want some more from the? If you don't remember a few minutes ago?" She's like, "Yeah." So I gave her a reading. Y'all, that woman became my best friend in that religion, and she like, put me in connection with a bunch of other people, and she became such a friend. Someone disrespected her, and I unleashed fury. If you're from Atlanta and you're in the Orisha community, you probably remember there's one particular Elay that everybody got sick all at once, as if pestilence rained down upon them. That was your boy. I did that. And it's no big deal now because I mean, and they were throwing little bitty stuff. It was just hitting me like pebbles, like beep 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 beep. But yeah. So I guess the moral to this story is you can be a successful reader memorizing the book and going about it methodically, but there has to come a point where you just stop trying to force it and just let go. And I think that is what happened to me at that point. I just was not forcing it anymore. I just was like, see, anger triggers a lot in me, but for some people, it's something else. Find whatever else that is in you that allows you to just let go and just let spirit and just stop trying to decipher it, stop trying to interpret it, just talk. If you think about it, it doesn't have to make sense to you, and that's where a lot of new readers mess up. You will get some information and try to make sense of it. It doesn't have to make sense to you. It has to make sense to the person you're reading. That's the one it has to make sense to. So just talk. Just let it out. All right. So with my whistle here, we're gonna get to the second story. And this second story, this was someone else. This someone else who was a part of that Elay. This was a love working case. This love case. And so the lady contacted me. She was like, "I heard you the boogeyman." After the whole pestilence thing, that's how I became known as the boogeyman. And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "But I need this." I'm like, "Yeah, I do that too. No worries. I do that too." And I said, "Well, what happened? Explain the situation." "I don't have time to pull cards. Just tell me what happened." She's like, "Well, I was dating this guy and we kind of fell out and we got back together. Then something happened and now he's not talking to me anymore." I'm like, "What happened?" Because I can tell by your body language that you know. "What happened?" She's like, "Well, he came over one night and we did our thing. Yeah, we all grown here." She's like, "We did our thing, and after it was done, he asked to wash up." And I said, "Okay." And he went into the bathroom, and then he yelled and came out and grabbed his stuff. He called me a bunch of names and left. And I said, "Well, that's weird. What happened?" She said, "Well, he wiped his face with the wrong rag." I'm like, now I say to myself, I say self. Self says, huh? I said, "Well, what's the wrong rag?" And then I looked at her and she's looking at me kind of bashfully. And I said, "Did you have company?" before this guy came over?" She said, "Yeah." And I said, "How soon?" She said, "Earlier in the day." And I said, "Did the other guy clean up?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Did you clean up?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Did y'all use separate rags or did y'all use the same rag?" She said, "Well, I hadn't gone to the laundry." And I'm like, "Oh, you dirty girl. You dirty, dirty girl." I said, "So you mean to tell me this man went in the bathroom, grabbed a rag, wiped his face with," she said, "Yeah." Yeah, I said, "Oh, you dirty, dirty girl." So since y'all like the coconut story so much, this is another working. I can fix this, but whew, you get yourself together, man. So I took a coconut. I had her give me a picture of the guy. I burnt the picture to ash and then I smeared the ash over a piece of chalk. I wrote the guy's name on the coconut. And of course, like in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, with some holy water. I baptized thee and I named thee and I gave the coconut the guy's name. So now, spiritually, and working on the coconut, I am working on this fellow. Punched a hole in the coconut, emptied out the water, put the water in a glass, put the glass in the freezer for about 15-20 minutes. Got it real cold, not freezing, but real cold. Then I poured it back into the coconut with a little bit of Florida water. Took a white candle, stuck it in the hole, jammed it in there real good, and then I lit it. Lit the candle, let it burn out. And then I said, "Give me a pair of your panties, a clean pair." I had to specify this word. I said a clean pair. Took the clean pair of panties, wrapped it around the coconut. She said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm cooling his head off because he's hot." She said, "How do you know?" I said, "He just wiped his face with another man's rag. Oh, he hot. Oh, he is hot. Trust and believe. Him is heated. As sure as grits his groceries, he hot." So I had to cool him back down. And then as he's cooling down, we're going to ensnare him with thoughts of what's in your drawers, your panties. Okay. I said, "Take this, put this coconut up under your bed as far back as you can near the headboard yeah, and up under where he would lay." She said, "Prophet, my mattress on the floor." I said, pull it out and put it up against the wall." Okay. She did that. And I said, "Every day at 3 o'clock, because three is a sign, is the number of movement, of progression. I'm going to be praying the Lord's Prayer, and I want you to pray from the Song of Solomon. From where? Anywhere. Just pick somewhere that calls out to you." We did that, and in 1 week's time, he was back. He was back. Okay. So, yeesh. They broke up again because they were both trifling, but they were back together for a good bit. But I say that to say we get into a cookie cutter approach to work because that's how the books and everything makes it seem. You do this, you do that, then you do that. Someone was asking today, I want to do all these workings. What's the proper progression? I'm like, there is none. Every working is an animal unto itself. So you just read the room, what needs to be done, and that's what you do. So I say it to say a lot of times folks are like, well, you have to do a reading before every working. Sometimes common sense is a reading. If somebody wipes their face with their girlfriend and another dude's rag, oh, he hot. I don't need to do a reading to find out what his problem is. I know what his problem is now. So, no reading necessary. I just did the work. So All right, guys, those were two stories. Oh, I want to clear up something about the first story time from yesterday. The first story time, I forgot to tell you guys. You remember when I told you that the lady could not leave her stove and she had been stuck there for like a while. She'd get up and go straight to the stove. Okay. Remember I told you in the basement there was a door that led to nowhere. If you're standing at that door, guess what's directly above you? Right. The kitchen and her stove. You could have drawn a straight line. So whatever was contained in there, that's why she was stuck at that stove. Can't make this stuff up. I think the next story time, guys, I'm gonna tell you guys about the time that I and some people who wanted to come with me on some workings almost got trapped in a cemetery. And some of you were there virtually, but if not, I'm gonna let you guys know what happened. Why I always say if you go to the cemetery at night, make sure you are out by 3 a.m. or you may never leave. All right, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And also, I would love to see each and every one of you at the webinar. Y'all have a good one. God bless. Profit out.